Are we live?
Yeah, we are live. Good
Awesome.
morning.
Good morning, good day, good evening, everyone, wherever you are. Hello and welcome back to Hands-On with Maxon series. And time does fly by so fast, and we are on our final sessions today. And yeah, I hope that everyone is doing well. And let me share my screen. There you go. So yeah, we've been doing this together for the last 6 weeks. And in the first week, we took a look at how the basic tools working, the primaries in DaVinci Resolve, and all colorista in Premiere Pro, for example, all the basics technique that you need to know when approaching a footage in your color grading suite. And then in the second sessions, we did a sessions with Tony to talk more about the footage acquisitions and what type of file that we normally use in color grading. And then also the third week, we were talking about lighting, right, Diego? We were talking about how to shape light and how to use the knowledge of photographical lighting into your grading. And in the fourth sessions, we did some workflows example, and Diego were talking more about ACES, and Johnny were talking about the pre-confirm workflow. And after that, we had a casual talk, casual discussions last week. Yeah, so if you missed those sessions, if you want to rewatch those sessions, you can go to YouTube channel, our YouTube channel. It's called Maxon Training Team, and all the videos are uploaded there. It will be under the playlist Hands-On with Maxon, as you can see in the screen. So feel free to visit them. And today we will talk about just the creative. We've covered the technical aspect before, and today we will see how we can create some looks. And yeah, joining us today is Diego. I think you don't need introductions from Diego anymore. Diego is a colorist based in Colombia. He's also the master trainer for Blackmagic Design. And yeah, let me just do the housekeeping for today. And in the handout sections in the GoToWebinar, if you open your GoToWebinar panel, you'll see the handout questions sections, and there's a PDF link. And if you open that PDF link, we will have this document that we'll see here. And one very interesting link that you probably already guessed is that link to get your free t-shirt. And that is this link, the Maxon merch store. And the password for your free t-shirt is terrible06, all capital. And yeah, you have ranges of options of t-shirts that you can get, and you won't have to pay the full price, only the shipping cost, which is around about $4. That's the t-shirt. And if you want to do if you want to test your knowledge about Maxon tools, you can also go to maxon.net/certifications. There we have different type of certifications. One of them is the elementary free knowledge test. So for example, if you're using Magic Bullet Suite in your workflow, you can try to test your knowledge or refresh your knowledge with this, so to say, test. And then upon passing, you will get a certificate of acknowledgement. Sorry, what am I thinking today? And for future events, if you want to know what's going on in Maxon and what are we doing, go to maxon.net/events, and there you'll see the upcoming future events. And just for notes today, since we are just creating a looks today, I'm not providing a free, how do you call it, footage for today's sessions, but I will be using some footage from sample footage from Ari, and that links is here, as you can see. Just go to the handout sections, down the download link, and follow the link, and you'll be you will be directed to RE page. And one of the footage is I'm using is from Alexa Mini LF camera. So yeah, and today we'll talk about several different looks that normally you see a lot in the footage in the program and in the movies. And but before we do that, we will revisit the theory of color psychology. Let's have a quick chat about color psychology and color harmonies and what are the prerequisites for a look. And for that, Diego will take you down into that alley. Right, Diego?
Yes, yes. I mean, I'm so excited about this session because probably when you start when you start grading, you think, I mean, it's the objective. If the objective of a
Sorry, Diego.
coloring,
I think we lost you for a couple of seconds there.
do you hear me now? Now do you hear
Yes.
me?
Yes.
Sorry, sorry.
No, no,
Okay.
it's just a couple of seconds, probably because I'm switching you into to be an organizer. Sorry for that.
Ah, okay,
My
that's
bad.
perfect. Yeah, yeah. Don't worry. No. So what I was saying is that I mean the look is the final objective of a colorist, and it's the reason we are a colorist. It's like we are not a colorist to balance image, definitely,
Yeah.
because that is boring in some way. We are a colorist because we want to. I mean, we want to create a new world, and that's the reason. For example, I'm a professional in mass media, completely different as a colorist, but I can say that the way that I communicate is by color, and that's definitely a look. Always think a look as something like that. So I will. Can you allow me to present my screen?
Okay. Let me make you presenter. Then now you should be able to present.
Good. That's perfect. So I took this I mean this slide from our first session that Max did because
It is available in the Dropbox link, by the way.
that one is available. Also, I will put this one also for you guys to download. And this is so important because I mean because when you are grading, you have to think on where the movie is located, what are the viewers, and also what is the technology that you are using. So, for example, I really like this session because Max is from Asia. I'm from Latin America. So I'm sure we definitely see the colors different. Our brain have some imaginary different than probably you guys. I don't know where you guys are, probably in the United States or maybe in some other part of the world. So this is beautiful. This is beautiful because in some way you feel that, wow, I mean, we are not a unique world. We are a world that is full of culture, full of technology, full of different like traditions, and this is the best part of the world. So talking about that, I mean, there are like a lot of resources when they are saying to you, okay, the red is, I don't know, is violence, is passion, the green is, and probably when you are like, for example, right now I'm moving to a new apartment. So I'm deciding about what color do I put in the walls. So that's a color decision. And in some way, what I think is that when I'm looking at, at looking at the paint to color my walls, I'm thinking, yes, okay, I'm a colorist, so now it has to be real. It's not like a simulation of what I'm going to do, it has to be real. So based on that, for example, what I did before painting my room, it was like I was checking my old books about color psychology and so on. And for example, I saw this this resource that is from Robert Plutchik, and let's think that this is like a color wheel of emotions. So for example, in this way you can say, okay, I will, I don't know, I will color something yellow and will be something joy. But if it's yellow, more desaturated will be more serenity. In the case of, let's think about green, dark green is going to be terror, or maybe a lighter green is going to be acceptance. So this is in some way, let's think that these are stereotypes of emotions. I believe we can use these stereotypes, but we can also create stereotypes. And that's one of the best parts in color. Remember, the color is in the brain. So we have the power in some way to show different things in the brain of the viewer. So for example, there are many resources of this in internet you can follow, but you can also, like when you are grading, you need to think also when your program or when your show is going to be viewed. So for example, Max, you are from Asia.
Yes.
So I don't know. For example, in this part of the world, in America or also in Europe, I think we people get married using white. I don't know in Asia or in Singapore, people do marry using white or
Yeah. Well, internationally, if you do it internationally, of course, white. But if you in some like like a culture, like in Chinese, for example, I do know that when people married, they're dressed in red, and
yeah.
white would be for when some relative died, for example. This is like, you know, to express sadness.
Yes, definitely. This is interesting
It's
and this is
quite the
beautiful.
contrary.
Yes, yes, it's quite contrary. But I mean, it's interesting and we also need to think about it. We need to think about it. For
And not just
example,
that. For example, if you take a look at the healthy skin tone definitions, for example, I mean, a lot of us in a lot of people in Asia, I mean, I grew up with it. The healthy skin tone that I saw in the televisions, which was like which were produced in Asia, the skin tone will be like fairly bright, but they tend to be in the red, you know,
yes,
it
yes.
has like
Not
this red tinge. So it's not nowhere like orange. If you have like orange, it will be something is wrong.
well, that's really interesting because I mean, let's think that you are going to work in Asia and you start grading like the skin tones in I don't know in the United States, probably you will be wrong. Definitely. So that's
Yeah.
that's really interesting. And also, for example, I have here another one that is about when you're going to a funeral. The right one is a funeral in India when it's white, and the
Yeah,
left one is let's think a funeral in this part that is black. That's also really interesting. That's also really interesting, and that's where you think that the color is made by the culture.
it
Definitely.
is. Yeah,
Let's think, for example, here the orange. I mean, in Colombia, where I live, probably the orange will be more related to Halloween. I don't know where you live, Max. The orange. What do you
um,
think about orange?
in Germany, it probably reminds of the Dutch soccer team, probably.
Yes, the Dutch soccer team.
But
Yeah.
I do know in like some part of Asia, like a Tibet, for example, like what you
Yes.
have there, it's a holy color.
Yes, definitely, it's a holy color. And also, for example, in United States, is the color that they put to the prisoners. So
What a difference.
that's a big difference between all parts. For example, here let's think about green. Green in this part of the world, probably where I live, is nature. Definitely, it's nature, a lot of nature and so on. You can think also, some marijuana is similar to that. But also there are some part of the world when it's religious.
Yeah.
And I don't know, you in Germany, do you think in Irish or in green, or what do you think?
Probably. But in Indonesia, for example, where I came from, it related to how do you call it? Uh, health, health, being healthy, and your well-being. Green. It's
Wow,
the color
that's
of nature.
is the color. That's perfect. But for example, you were talking about the skins,
Yeah,
and if you grade the skin and it's greeny, you will feel that it's sick or something like that happened,
yeah.
right?
Like you got a jaundice or something.
Yes. So for example, there is another example here about red. Red, let's think that in some part is communist. Red can be Christmas. Red also is a political party here in Colombia. It's not a, it's actually not communist, it's from the right, from the right. but it's absolutely different. I don't know, red for you in Indonesia, what is, Max?
Red is like notice me, stop, notice me.
All
Also,
right,
it is danger. It's red. It's
it's red.
or fast. Think about the sports car, man. I mean, when is the last time you notice a sports car doesn't have like this bright red paint?
That's right. That's
Right?
right.
Or
Yeah,
if you remember the Technicolor Wizard of Oz, for example, the red shoes. Just imagine if the shoes were green and then the yellow brick road was red and then the castle was yellow. It will not work, right?
yes, yes, definitely. That's really interesting. But also, this is and I love. Usually, I make this session in my color class, but I love to discuss with you this because we are from another part of the
Oh,
world.
exactly. Exactly.
So
Some may
this
be
is
same,
just
some
amazing.
totally different.
Yes, yes, that's perfect. So what I say that I spend a lot of time like doing these researches, like as people. Also, one of the best things of traveling is to understand these color differences because this will help you in grading. For example, right now I'm taking next week I'm going to take a color. It's not a color lesson. It's going to be an art direct director of art lesson, and I want to take it. It's going to be like 30 hours because of
Oh,
this
wow.
to understand more the color and so on and so on because we
Where
need
is
to
it?
think. It is a Brazilian school. Probably I will share it if you want to learn Portuguese
Please
also.
share it. Please share it.
Yes. So this is,
Some of our audience probably also in that area, you know.
yes, yeah, definitely. And this is something that you have to do as a colorist. Don't think always, or I mean, I think probably the most regular mistake that we have is that we just learn one software and we just stay in one software and we think that a software is all. No, definitely. Color is huge. Also, this week I'm taking one lesson about history of color, and I'm loving it. And is the professor is an architect, so it's
Wow.
completely different point of view that I have. But I mean, it's a lot of it's complementing a lot my point of view. So I invite you to take all of these lessons because that will help you more than a software manual, definitely. So here are some resources. These resources are really, really interesting about how to match color, combining colors, color decorating. And the author is Kobayashi, is Shigeno Kobayashi. They are great colors. They are great colors because they explain what are the most popular colors. He even went to Europe and he traveled around many countries and he said, okay, these are more the predominant colors from this part and from the other. And at the end, this is what a look is. A look is a combination of colors. And always, I think when you need inspiration, start reading something different as what you do all time. Because when you do all the time, you are like in some way like you feel like you are blocked. So always read or go to another place so you can find more inspiration. So for example, talking about that, as Max say, sometimes we say red is a color of like alert. Like you say, okay, stay tuned, violence, passion. Here we have some great images. I like green. I can say I like green in movies. But as we say in some movies, the green is part of nature. I love Gotham. I don't know if you guys, I don't know, Max, did you watch Gotham?
No, sadly not.
Okay, watch Gotham. I love Gotham. For me, it's one of the best serials, and I really love the grading there. And definitely, one thing that or one movie that in some way break my point of view of grading long time ago was Matrix. So Matrix was a dark world and a really I mean the color was so aggressive. But I was like, okay, this is really interesting. And probably every time I'm talking about color, I talk about Matrix, and the people still remember how is Matrix. So
Yeah.
before an hour, we were talking with Max, and Max sent me a trailer of the new Matrix.
The Resurrections.
The
You
re-
should check that, guys.
yes,
It's
the-
really nice one.
but what was like our talks about the color of that new movie, Max?
Well, both of us noticed something. Where's the green world? Where's the green tinged world? It seems like there's only like splash of green here and splash of green there. I don't know why, but it seems like both of us missed that there is no green tinged world. But hey, we haven't watched the movie. Maybe it will be in the movie. Let's
Let's see. So we were joking like it was like John Wick on the
yeah,
Matrix. But I mean, it was just like a casualty that Max and that, and we were talking about this. But in some way, if I see Matrix, probably I know, I will put up green glasses or something like that, just to remind that I'm looking at the Matrix.
yeah.
Okay,
The movie
so
was so great, and even if you like rewatch, if you don't understand the storyline back then, I remember after understanding the storyline, I also understand that every time he's in the Matrix, everything is green, and every time he's in the real world, it's blue, right?
yes,
It's
yes,
really great.
yeah, that's always happened, and I mean, it's something that the color is one of the magic of colors. It's like it's and it's, for example, the colorists of Matrix, the people that decide that color really make something great because create a color imaginary in our world. That's perfect. For example, right now, I don't know, Max, have you watched Money Heist, the
No,
serial?
not yet. Not yet.
Okay, so the people, the colorists from Money Heist, I know them, and they create also something similar. If you watch, guys, Money Heist, that is really great, you will remember how Money Heist is. And this is, I mean, I think this is one of the main goals of the colorist to create an iconic look, and look that will be like in our brains, and that's perfect. So for going to another example, here the blue, you can find the blue in Stranger Things, especially in the underworld, I think is the name. I don't know. Here you can find in Hotel Budapest when he is like in this part, but also the blue can be something like, I don't know, like something perfect, like friendly, or we usually like relate the blue with clouds, with the sky. So that is a really like interesting topic. So here we have another example, and about one of the movies that everyone recognizes, that is Star Wars. But we can see that the colors that they they use all the time, I mean, they are so common, and we definitely notice that the red is the color of the dark side, and the blue is the color from the good side. I forgot the name of the good side. What was it?
The
Revolutionaries?
Skywalker.
Okay,
Skywalker.
the Skywalker family. Okay, Skywalker family, not completely, because Darth Vader was Skywalker. Okay, but this
Oh
is
yeah, right.
something. Yes, this is something like really interesting, and they play a lot with this. So, for example, I don't know if you watch is the episode 1 or the episode 3, when everyone was like fighting with different colors lightsabers. You didn't know which one was the good one or which one was the bad one, because they had like purple lightsaber, green lightsaber, pink lightsaber. You didn't know. I think because they lost this convention. That was probably they made this convention when they created the storyboards and so on. And it's a basic convention, but I mean it's really a great convention. We know who is the dark side. That we know like the dark side is carrying all the time like a lightsaber, right? So that is important.
Yeah.
So for example, about yellow, it's happened the same. About yellow, we can say that there are different types of yellow. I love yellow movies. I love yellow movies. I love, for example, I don't know, Midnight in Paris is one of my favorite
Oh,
movies.
that's such a nice movie.
Yes, that is.
Or,
I mean, it's the
or The
kind of
Last
movie that
Emperor.
The Last Emperor definitely. I mean, that kind of movie that you remember how it was. And I remember with Nightmare in Paris, I was so in love with Paris. At that time, I didn't knew Paris. Then I went, and when I went there, I was imagining that nights, like the yellow nights and so on. Also, I mean, but there are like, for example, here the word of P, it has like a yellow, more greeny. This one is a yellow reddish, something like that. And also Malcolm X, it has another yellow. So this is something that you have to think, but what you have to also, that I think is one of the best parts, Max was saying that Matrix has like one blue and one green. So play with this, play with different looks in your movie or in your show, and that is going to make like the viewer to feel the difference between scenarios. In some way, for example, I remember that when there is a part of the movie that is really like strong, probably the colors are going to be more saturated. So, I mean, you can play also with this, but also you can play with the opposite. So, for example, let's think here. I mean, we can say that the convention of black is like dark, like Batman, and in this case, like good Skywalker, bad Skywalker. But I love this movie. I don't know, it's so funny. I haven't watched it, and I think I even cry at the end of the movie. But I
Was it
love this
Bruce
movie.
Almighty?
Yeah, it was, yes, I think it was that one. But one of the things that I like of this movie is that it plays with the stereotype that
Yeah.
always God is the white person, Jesus is the perfect European guy, and so on. And in this case, they put a black person as God. So it definitely like break the rule of our minds, of our brains. But this is awesome. This is absolutely awesome because they change, they break that rule, and that is also the power of color, to break rules, to break rules. So if you feel that you are breaking rules, I mean, if you can break in rules, why not? Also, for example, what we can say about colors is that we can grade the same scene with different colors and we can show different emotions. I mean, you can see at the right here, you can see Superman like really hope about what is happening, and in the left side, probably you see that wow, something bad is happening. So the colors is emotion. Always think that. Put emotion into your image. That is, I
Or the
think, the key. Yeah.
prime example of the example that you're showing, probably to see the Snyder cut versions of the Justice League, right?
Yes. Hey, I haven't watched it. I need to watch it.
Oh, you have to.
It is really
4 hour
awesome.
long though. It's totally different grade.
Wow.
And I think it is Stefan Sonnenfeld doing the grade from Company 3. I'm not quite sure, but I think it's Stefan Sonnenfeld.
Yes. So I mean, these are great things. Also, I know there is a version of Mad Max that is in black and white that they say is absolutely like beautiful, all the textures and so on. So definitely enjoy that. Enjoy. I, I will say that I'm not a filmmaker. I mean, I forgot the name of the movies. I don't know the name of the directors, but I love color. So everyone can see the color in different ways. But what I want to say about all of these things is that the color is made from pre-production, from art, from the storyboards, from the parts when they are thinking like all of what is happening. And this is something that you really need to know. What we do in grading is we retouch, we get some intention, definitely. But I mean, an image, for example, let's think that here in, I mean, let's think in Star Wars, they didn't make this lightsaber red in post production. I mean, it was all there from pre-production. So always think that. I remember that one time one we were in a class and one of the person in the class asked to one of my teachers that is called Salvador, and they asked him who makes the color of a movie. So I mean, the colorist probably say because of the crowd and so on, they say the colorist. The director of photography will say I made the colorist. So he said something really interesting, and he said no, the person who made the color is the director of art. And he said at the end, all of them join together. And in the end, all of them join together. If I put this red sweater, it's already a color decision. So that's what you have to know. And that's also what you have to think when they ask you for a specific look. If that specific look, for example, Money Heist is full of red. I remember that I asked to the colorists of that serial about if some other clients asked them about repeating that look in some other productions. And what they were saying, it was okay, but please put some red t-shirt, some red sweater in the characters. And I can like recreate. If they don't have like red, probably they cannot make it. So that's something that you have to take care about it. So yes, when you start thinking on looks, think on movies, think on art, think on color history, and that will help you a lot. And also, well, is harmonies. Think about the color harmonies. Color harmonies are like the way that we feel like we feel when we see a look, we feel good about that look. Yes, this is not new. This is something that it was created long time ago, and we usually do this all the time to create nice looks, nice color combinations. For example, right now in the apartment, what I what I say is that the color of the floor is a little bit like yellow desaturated. So I'm going to paint some of my walls with this blue because I want to make like a color harmony, like in my place. So that's the same, and that's also happening like in most of the movies. We grade it based on a color harmony because we want to make nice images. In this part, for example, you can see some of the most popular color harmonies and some also like that color harmony is represented in an image. And what you can notice is that, for example, we have an analogous. Analogous harmony is Midnight in Paris. You can say, I don't know, can you tell me a movie that is analogous, Max, that you remember?
Some shot, some scene in the Blade Runner, for example. You
In Blade
remember
Runner.
when he met Harrison Ford in Vegas?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes, that part. Also in the Matrix. Matrix is, we can say, analogous in a lot of parts. Let's think that we have also, and this is one of the most popular, let's think, like the complementary and also split complementary. It's like you take a color wheel and you go from one color to another one. And the reason that is so pleasant is because when you put this color plus this color, you get white. And white is the more like the most peace color in the world. So this is something really common, and that's the reason that we see it all the time in the Hollywood movies. Everything is green or blue and yellow or orange. The famous, what is the name of that look, Max?
Which one? Oh, yeah, the famous one, the one that you will see like in a lot of movie, for example, is the one that we are going to cover. I'm going to cover the famous look. That is the Bleach Bypass. Yeah. Should
I
I
was
do
thinking the
that?
teal and orange.
Oh, the teal and orange. Yeah, that
Yes,
I will.
that is a
I will cover
complementary
this
one.
one. And this is a complementary color theory as well. You know,
Yes,
right?
definitely, and these are complementary, and you see everywhere. What I think is that this harmony is beautiful, but man, don't always think that you need to do the same. Yes,
But you
and I
don't
mean,
have to do the teal and orange every time, right? You can do like
yes,
red
yes,
and green, for example.
you can do when you need it. That's what you need
Yes.
to know. So, I mean, you have this one. You have also a tetradic color scheme. When you take like a square or a rectangle and you put it in the color wheel and you see four parts of the image here. And also you have like a triadic color that is a triangle, and you take three parts. So what I always think is that, I mean, when you we are as a colorist, in most of the cases we came to the project at the end. We start the project at the end when everything is recorded. So when everything is recorded, you have to think, okay, what was the intention of art of that shot? And based on that, you can refine it. I will say change it, but the objective is not change it. Okay, the objective is refine it to make it better. Yes, but always think on that. Always think on that. So for example, what I like to do, if I come here to resolve, where is my resolve? Here. If I come here to resolve and I select this, every time that I have, for example, they send me references, I start looking at them and I can say, okay, what is the color harmony of this shot? We can say it's complementary. What is the color harmony of this shot over here? We can say that is kind of
Analogous,
analogous,
almost
definitely.
monochromatic, right?
Almost monochromatic. We can say about, for example, let's think about this crazy thing.
Whew.
It's a lot. This one, complementary. So always
Yeah.
think about it. But also, for example, one of my mentors, Kevin, told me this that this is really interesting. Is think when you have a look or when you have a reference, think if it's an artificial look or if it's a look created from the start. Yes, if it's a look created from the start, probably your work will be easier. If it's an artificial look, let's think, okay, this one. This is a really artificial look. So this is something that you have to like, probably will be harder, but you have to recreate it like in Resolve completely or in your grading software. If it's a look that was thinked since the beginning, since pre-production, probably you will have to improve and you will have to like to make some adjustment. And at the end, I think will be a better look than the look you make by zero in your grading software. Also, what I like to use, for example, here is I like to come here to the Open Effects and I select the color palette. And here in the color palette, what I can notice is that let me just copy here to all of the. So what you can see here is the color palette gives you like a good description of what are the colors of that look. For example, look at this one. Here,
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
here, look at this one. That is a beautiful shot. A beautiful shot. Come here. Let's see the one that we were looking at. Yes, probably it's not. Probably we missed that red, but always analyze. Always analyze what you have, and this is perfect. This is perfect. And what I usually recommend is take some screenshots. Take some screenshots and start creating your own folder of what the images that you like more, and you start like getting inspiration, and also you analyze your image. So for example, in this case, I use shot deck that we show it in some other lesson, like to show this image. But you don't need shot deck. You just need to watch everything what you want and maybe take a screenshot or something like that, and you start making this. You start making this. And then what I do is that with all of these images, I save them and I create like different 4 or 5 folders. One for analogous, one for complementary, one for triadic. And also for example, for analogous, I create like warm or cold. So I start like creating some like references and also like educating my mind about what is happening. Based on that, what I do with that is I create something that we can call a color Bible. This color Bible, I think, is something that a colorist need to have and also need to like start. It needs to add all the time more images. And this is a perfect like excuse to have many looks inside. And you will analyze the look. If you don't feel inspired, you can open these like folders and start like checking what you want. And also, if your client needs help, you can also open this color Bible and you can like say to him, okay, what do you want? Remember, we say at the beginning, the color is in the brain. The color is in the brain. So we need to help them also. Based on that, what you can do is you can, here are some commandments about creating looks. And what I will say, you can take a screenshot and so on. I will say always make a look based on based on the story. Also, a look is a for a shot is a compromise of the scene. So don't think in a look that is just one shot. Think in a sequence. And definitely, all of these references are great, but this is just a starting point. And this is just a starting point. You are going to create your own look based on what they give you. And that's the key of the colorist. The key of a colorist is that, I mean, you start, but then you start like creating things and so on. So based on that, if you want to know more about different looks and different recipes and how people use looks in different movies, Max shared us this book last time. That is perfect. It's perfect. You can also buy a Kindle version, and I love this book. And I also love this one from Alexis Van Hurman. That is, I mean, thanks Alexis because you have provided a lot of information for new colorists around the world. This is a great book. It shows
Yes.
us a lot of recipes. But also, what you will understand about looks is that all of us create looks in a different ways. I mean, it doesn't. You don't have to create your own the same notes that I create. You will create new ones, and at the end, you will say, okay, I like more these strategies. So that part is really, really important.
R-
So
And really subjective as well, right?
and really subjective and really subjective. So for example, when a person shares like a node structure, I will always think, okay, that's good, but it doesn't needs to be your same structure, your own structure. I mean, change the structure based on what you want, and that's the key. So how can we make a good look? So I always think that cooking is as similar as grading, and here is almost lunchtime. But when I'm grading, I think that I have to cook a really delicious pasta, a really delicious pasta. So, for example, to cook this really delicious pasta, what I need is good ingredients. I need the sauce, I need the spaghetti, I need many, many things. So, if you are going to create a great look, definitely you need great ingredients. What are our ingredients? First, all of the art work and photography work, but also we didn't talk so much in this session about the technical part, but we need technical ingredients. We need technical ingredients to accomplish that specific look. And for example, Max, what do you think that is here the like the your favorite ingredient for creating looks?
Oh, my favorite ingredient is just like the good and fresh material, and that is like the good file, for example. A,
Yeah,
a really nice bit depth. I prefer a bigger bit depth file instead of a bigger resolution, for example. And yeah, bigger dynamic range and frame rate depends on the client, whatever they want.
definitely. So Max answered the question. I mean, is bit depth. Bit depth, dynamic range is something that we love. So based on that, you can say to your client, if he gives you a reference, you can say to him, okay, I mean, we can do this look. Or you can say to him, no, it's impossible. I mean, saying no is an option also. Don't always say yes. Okay, so that was like a short introduction about looks. And also I will show later what I will say is that I think yes, let me come back here to resolve. Wait. The note order is really important for looks. Really, really important. That's something that you have to think, and this is the reason that you have to know the program. The note order is really important. So I don't know, I forgot, Max. You are going next or I
I'm
continue?
I'm going next. And
Okay,
I'm going next, and then after that I will hand it back over to you. I will take the presenter role,
perfect.
Diego,
Yeah.
and I will just go shortly to talk about groupings a little bit.
Okay, perfect.
So can you see my screen?
Yes, we see it.
So by the way, if you pay attention to what Diego has shared with us previously, and if you want to play around with that the color theory. You can also, I just remember that there's a nice website that you can try out a different color scheme if you want to build a color scheme. It's called sessions.edu/color-calculator. And you have the options to choose harmony, for example, monochromatic, analogous, split complementary, like what Diego has just said, and then play around with it. It's a free website, free app, and you can use it to your benefit. And then also another good recommendations that I just recently learned from my dear colleague at Maxon. That's really nice when you work with the multiple different people in the team. Some people are coming from different backgrounds, for example, and I just uh, get a more and more resources. For example, I think Dr. Sasi, our audience here, he's in the audience today, and he pointed me out to such a great book. It's called The Art of Color from Johannes Itten. And he's a painter, and he talked about color contrast and all the color theory. And it's really, really nice if you could read this book. All right, on to resolve. And I will make it just quick and we'll go back to Diego after this. What I want to talk with you today, what I want to share with you today is that working with groups inside resolve. My misconceptions is always that I thought when I'm starting out, my biggest misconceptions that one movie only have one looks. For example, Matrix has this Matrix looks, and what type of movie has this looks. But I didn't realize that movies has scenes, and scenes tells different story, and those scenes have different look. So in a movie, there could be more than just one look. And normally, how do you handle that is through groupings your project. So here, probably not a good example because we only have one clip. So we'll just go to a different timeline, and here we have slightly more clips. If you
Nice.
work with a long form project, for example, like indie film or film, you probably have thousands of clips, right? And you probably want to um, categorize them so that you can do one adjustment and affect the whole other clips, for example. So here I already pre-grouped it. So let me just delete this. By default, when you bring your footage into Resolve, you in the node editor, you will see two dots, right? Two different modes, the clip and then the timeline mode. So if you create here, if I create a new node by pressing Alt or Option S, you'll see that the node is surrounded by a blue color, right? And on the clip node, it is surrounded by red color. It means that this type of node, it operates in different level. So for example, in this clip node, for example, if I'm just putting the gain up to red, it affects this very clip, but the other clips are not affected. But if I'm going to the timeline and just do an adjustment in the timeline level, you will see that every single clip is affected. Now the thumbnails is not updating, so I'll just update all thumbnails, right click, update all thumbnails, and you can see that it affects the whole clip, right? So let me reset this. Let me update all thumbnails again. So when you group your clips into groups, then you get two more modes. So you got a bonus. And normally, when you're working with different projects, there are like a different method to groups your clips. For example, if you're working with a short ad, you may group your clips differently, probably by what type of camera it was shot, or what type of takes or something like that. Or maybe in the long form format in film, probably you group it per scenes because they were shot in different scenes, and you tell the same story in the same scenes, right? So to group your clip, you can either select them. So here I have one selected, and I've just pressed Shift and left click, and Alt and left click, and then I can also just right click. And no, I'm in timeline level, so it's not showing. I will go back to the clip level and right click and select groups, right? Or what you can do is that you can go to Lightbox. This is more convenient way to group your clips. So for example, if you select the clips, and you can do add, and you can choose add into current group. So for example, here I have the white shot, and I will just add it into, I should have add into new group. So add into new group. I'll call it group A and hit OK. And this too, I can also add into a new group, which will be called group B, and hit OK. And once you're done, you can just quit Lightbox by clicking it again. So as you can see, now when you select one of this clip, you'll see the chained icon here, right? It means that they belong together in a group. And I mistakenly create group 1, so I will just delete this. So now if we right click and go to groups, we have group A and group B. And you can sort your groups by going to clips and group, and just work in the group A clips. Or you can also just work in the group B clips. Right now, it may seems like it's not a big deal because we only have like 6 clips. But when you are working in a long form project, like for example, if you were working with 300 clips, for example, this options will be a lifesaver because you will know what you need to do, right? So as I told you before we only have the timeline clips, which is denoted with blue color, and clip level, which is denoted with the red color. Now we have the group pre-clip, which is denoted with a yellow, and also group post-clip, same yellow color. So the group pre-clip will, if you do adjustment in the group pre-clip, it will affect all the clips in the group. So for example, in this group, if I'm doing the adjustment here, it will just adjust, it will just happen into, it will just apply it into this group, but the adjustment will be applied before the clip level, right? Same as the group post clip. The adjustment that you do here will be applied to the clips in the groups, but after the clip level. So in doing so, knowing so, what you can do is that, one, you can use timeline level to create the things that will affect all the clips that you want. So for example, if you are doing the film print development process, which we will cover it later, you can do it in the timeline level, for example, because you just want the development to apply to all the clips, right? And then, like I said before, that I mistakenly understood that a movie just have one look. No, I was wrong. Scene has their own look, for example. So to establish your looks, you can go to the group post clip level to do that. So for example, if you want to do like, let's just put a warming the highlight and then cooling down the shadow. And if you do so, it will affect only the clips in your group in your group, sorry, after the clip. So in the second scene, for example, you can create another look if the project calls for it, right? So I hope that explains a little bit about the grouping and why you would create look in the group post clip and then do the development process of film if you want to do the film print emulations in the timeline level. So on that note, I think we will go back to Diego, and Diego will go further and will explain how you will manage the look using the gallery, the memories, versions, and everything. And then Diego will also explain will break down one important look, the one that you already see before, right, Diego? Color washes.
Yes, yes. So, I mean, this what you talk, Max, is so important because I think when we are like starting grading, probably we start with one technique and then we move to another one. I usually don't grade so much with groups because I feel a little bit. I mean, it works if your footage is well recorded and you don't have to tweak it so much, so the post group would work as a look.
Yeah,
But what I found is that if it's a documentary or if it's a reality or if it's something that it was recorded with multiple cameras, probably the group, like the group part is, I mean, will not be my workflow. So that's where I
mhm,
say to you, I mean, you need to know the techniques, right? You need to know where to apply them.
exactly.
Yeah, so let me share
Different
my
projects
screen.
for different, called for different techniques. So,
Yes,
Diego,
and
I
I will
will
say,
make you a presenter.
perfect. There you go. Show my main screen. There you go. So here. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to like make a fast demo of how in this case I create, let's think, a color wash. So what is a color wash? A color wash is, if we look at the color wheel, it's a look that is with a lot of like with all of the colors to one part. We can think that a color wash is similar to an analog harmony. Yes, analog harmony. So based on that, I mean, I did this look. It was for a movie that it was, I think, 4 years ago or something like that. And I still love this part of the look of the movie because it was like the end of the movie. It was like the joy moment. And this is an island so beautiful here in Colombia. And I remember that when I was like looking, I mean, when the director was looking at the colorist, I say to her, "Hey, if I go to that island, will you give me the movie?" And she said yes. So that was really interesting because I knew the island, and then I graded that movie. And all of in my experience of being that island and so on, I tried to put that in the grading. So that was like the final result. This is like the log the log file. In this case, you can see that it's 422 file. Is 10 bits. It was recorded from the FS7, if I'm not wrong. So the reason that I say that is because always think in the technical, always think in your ingredients before going to a look. Before going to a look. Yes. So here I also like have another references where I mean where you can see like another part. So now based on that, let's think that how we can create these looks. So the first thing that you need to do is to analyze what you have. Here you can see that you have let's think a yellow greeny shot. Let's think about the contrast. Is contrast is not so washed out. And first, what I like to do is, okay, you make that based on what you see, but then look at them in the scopes. Always look at your image in the scopes. So what you can notice here is that, I will just put two, the waveform and vector scope. And what you can notice here is that based in this waveform, we have, I mean, the tonal range is taking almost half of the waveform, and also the color is going in this part from red to yellow. But what we can notice also is that it's not such a colorful shot. I mean, if it was a colorful shot, probably the vector scope will go here. But it's not a colorful shot. So based on that analysis, what I can do is I can start with this shot. The first thing that I do is I save this as a still. Yes, I save this as a still. And then I like create my first node. Let's think that this is we can say the technical node. So why I create tech, okay, tech, I will write. So why I create this node? Because if I go straight to this look based on I mean of what I have of my starting point, what I will have is something like this. Let me just put these two clips and join them based on the split screen that you have here. And then in the split screen, I will move them to clips. So if I go straight from this starting point to this, what I will find is the next. Let me just show it to you really fast how I did this, how I do this. I mean, I have the vector scope, so I don't need my eye to start improvising where this color is. So what you can do is you can move this really strong. And what you will notice is that in the vector scope, you have the two images, and your images is the one that you are moving. So if I want to go straight to this like look, I will come here. Yes. And now you will have, I mean, the look, the color of the look. But probably what you feel here, what do you think or what do you feel with that, with this look, Max? What is happening?
Oh, the contrast is getting reduced heavily,
Yeah,
right?
yes, definitely. And also it looks like you have a filter in your eyes, and probably you
Exactly.
are looking through that filter. And that's
Like
the
I'm
most,
putting a green or sorry, a yellow glass in front of
yes,
my eyes.
yes. And I will say that's the most common mistakes when you are creating looks, is that you want to like start creating the looks from one step. And based on that, what you think is that, wow, something is happening. Okay, I have here, then you say, I come here, and then I come here, and you say, okay, now it's similar. I improve the contrast based on, because I have here my image, this is the left, and this is the right. So you can say that, okay, now it looks kind of similar, but it also doesn't look with colors. It still looks with a lot of, I mean, it looks like a filter. And that's the most common mistake when we are creating look, that we are creating or starting the look from the beginning. So based on that, what you can say is, okay, let's try another version. Let's try another version. So when I'm thinking creating another version of a look, what I do is, okay, I will not create a still, I will create a version. So I will come here, right click, and I will select local versions, create new version. The shortcut is Control N. And for example, this will be, okay, actually, it will create another one. So it will be version 2. I will hit OK. And if I come to this part, right click, sorry, double click in the name, then I will see the name of the shot. And here I will see the name of the version. The first version that I did was, let's think here, load, and it's that one over here. You can rename this version if you need it. In my case, I don't do it because I'm lazy in this part. But I mean, I'm just testing. I'm just testing versions, so in this case, I don't need it. So I will create another one. So right click, version 2, or I usually like to do this fast, doing or adding a version, doing command end. And I mean, here with command N and command B, I'm moving between versions. So as you notice, the number is changing, and also here the number is changing. So I will make another version, like starting from another point. I guess, yes, let's try another thing. I'm in the version 2. So I will reset this node. And what I will do is I will select again these two, I will probably select here the split screen view, and I will first try to match the contrast. Something like that. What I'm doing is that I'm trying matching here. I can do it based on leaf gain. I can do it, for example, based here on contrast. I can come here, put down the offset and move the contrast a little bit. Probably this one is giving me a better result. Yes. I mean, you can use the different methods. You can also use curves if you feel to. But based on that, probably will move a little bit. I will also think, okay, this shot doesn't have a lot of saturation, but it has. It has a bit. It has a bit. You can see the different colors. So I will add a little bit of saturation here. Yes, something like that. And this is what we can call like a technical node. That is a node that is not so aggressive. It's a node that is not aggressive. It's a node that it's giving you colors, but it's not destroying your image. So always think that the first node is is that kind of node. It's a technical. It's a node that will not cross your blacks, will not like clip your heights, or will not have a lot of saturation. No, this is just a first step. So based on that, what I can do is I can create another node, and I can, let's think that this is the look. And if I come here, I make the same. Look, here I have my gain, and I move it here. So now you will see that the result is different. This result, when I'm like changing the temp from here to here, is different than the one I did before. How it was before, if I select Control B to select the previous one, this was before and this is after. Look the importance of this first node. Don't start a look from the beginning, from a log file or something like that. Like make another one, and now you feel like that you have more, more depth. Remember something we say that in the class, especially in the one of lighting, depth. Depth is absolutely, absolutely important. So based on that, you have another version, something like that. What you can do also, or what I recommend is that, play with all. Play with leaf, gamma, gain. Don't play with just one, because based on that, what you can do is you can like create more depth and also more texture to your image. Play with both. For example, something like this, and you can say, okay, now I have something similar. Probably it's more saturated, but as you see, the color predominance is the same. Probably this one has more light. I will put more light. I can actually do it, add the light here if I need it, something like this. So here I have like listing a color wash. Color wash, I can like, for example, I can play with in some way with windows if I need it, like to increase more the light. But let's think that this is just a simple and normal way to achieve a look. And the node order is really important. For example, in this case, if I want to like recover a little bit of this beautiful water, what I can do is I can add more saturation here, and I can like recover more of that. And maybe here I can decrease the saturation. Yes. So I'm playing like with the order and how the signal from one node go to another one. In this case, I did this look that, as you notice, is more reddish than greeny. And definitely in this case, what I did was I had a layer node. Let me show you how I make, or how can I recover this shot that I this, I mean this C, the part of the blue. So what I make a layer node, right click, add node, a layer, and here I made a qualifier. And also the good thing of having a good starting point here is that your qualifiers are going to work. If you're starting from a flat point, your qualifiers are not going to work. So here you can make a qualifier, but in some cases you don't need it. if you have like a layer node. But let me show you here. I make a qualifier, and then I increase a little bit the width, then with soft, something like that. Okay, we will a little bit less, something like here. And then based on that, what you can do is play with your opacity. Then to adapt more that, I mean, that color of the sea in this part. So that can be a color wash, but always think the most important of what I say is this tech look. And also you can say, okay, here I have one version, here I have another one, that is the version 2, and with command Y, you create another one that is the version 3, and this is without the, like without the C. And what you can do after that is you can say, okay, I can select this split screen, then select selected, sorry, versions or versions and original. Let's think versions and original. And you can say, okay, probably I like this one more, or I like this one more, and you can start deciding. But the best part of this is that you can say, okay, I like the skin tones here, but I like the sky here. But I definitely love the detail of the sea. And you can start creating your look based on the different tries or the different versions you have recorded. That's it. So now let's go to Max. Are you there?
That's really great, Diego. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So let me make myself presenter and share my screen. Can you see my screen now, Diego?
Yes.
Yeah, right. Now I want to show you two, not just one, but two types of looks. I'm sorry if I'm going one over Diego. We plan to go Diego and me and Diego and me, but in this case, I think it best to cover these two looks together because they go hand in hand.
Yeah.
The one that I want to show you today is the big word is the film print emulations, and then the bleach bypass, which is one of the process of the film development that was done when we were still shooting with film back in the day. And you probably already heard the terms people ask you probably, hey, can you make it look more filmic? Can you make it as if it was shot in film? And if you noticed back in the day when we were shooting with film, we use the film negative, right? And film negative has to go through a different film development process with different multiple chemical baths and to be able to be developed. And then from there, it will be there will be an editing sessions, the editing process, and then the scenes were edited into correct sequence, and then finally it will be printed into the film print. And then when everything is fine, then this film print will be the one that will be delivered to the movie theater, for example. And if you want to know more about the characteristic of film, that is not the scope of the sessions because it will be way, way too short. But what I can point you out is that this nice website from Steve Yetlin, and he has a lot of like resources if you want to know more about the idiosyncrasies of film, the characteristic of film, how how is the look of a film. Well, we'll not go that today because it's a long-winded, very long readings, and I trust you to do the readings on your side, right? So, but in summarizing that, what I some learned from that is that film has their own like a specific feels, like the contrast of the film. Normally it's like very heavy contrast, and there's like the highlight roll off, and then also the density of the color, and then the grain, right? And then also like some effects like the relations of the highlights, for example. But we won't go through that detail today. But what I want to show you is that, um, of course, this piece was already shot in the digital camera. The only way that you can make it a little bit more filmic is that by using the film print emulations. And in Resolve, there are some LUTs that you can already use to do the print film. And if you go to the LUT sections, under the film look, let me open that, you have several different choices from Fujifilm and Kodak, right? But what you normally do, what a person normally do when they are using LUT, is like they just apply the LUT, right? And when you apply the LUT, it will feel like, does it look correct? It doesn't look correct to my eyes. What is wrong? In doing so, you need to understand that LUT is very specific, and it requires a specific environment. I think if you watch, no, I digress. So what I want to show you is that, um, you can analyze the requirement of the LUT by right-click the LUT and do the open file locations, for example. And here I have my LUT open. And if I open my lookup tables and maybe edit with Notepad++. No,
That
I
is
don't want to
so big.
download it. Yeah.
That is
And
so
then now
big,
you
but it's so
see,
important.
the real face of the LUT. It's just collection of numbers, right? It just tells the software, there are several different points, and you have to transform these points into that value, you know? And what you may not aware is that this. I don't know if you can see that. I don't know how can I. No, I cannot zoom it in. So if
But we
you,
can see it. We can see
but
it.
you can see it, right? But it
Yes.
says like it needs the Cineon log input, and in the Rec 709 and Gamma 2.4. So that is what the LUT need, right? You need to transform your working space, your environment, to be compatible with the LUT. How do you do that? Well, I can use the conversion LUT, for example, to transform from ARRI Loxi. What did I just do? Let me just reset this. For example, but in Resolve, there's already a way to do that, and that is using the color space transform. Probably you can find the technical definitions of the color space transform in the manual, and it will explain it better than what I going to do. But in a nutshell, it transforms. You can use this plugins to transforms color spaces, as the name say, color space transform. In the input color space, you can tell the software that, hey, this is ARRI Alexa software footage, and the input gamma will be the ARRI Loxi. And since my timeline is set to YRGB Rec 709, so it may look fine, right? But that's not what the LUT need. The LUT need Rec 709, and it also need the Cineon film lock. So now I have provided the environment that the LUT requires. So I'll create another node, and here I will just apply the film LUT. Where is it? Film looks, and there you go. For example, now isn't that looks better? So I should have saved a version so you can compare. I'm sorry for that, Diego. I didn't pay attention to your part. I should have saved a version so we can compare. So that is how you apply a film LUT, right? But if you uh, go into the detail, like if you pay attention to what Diego has presented previously, isn't it just the same like before? Similar. It does the technical transform, and then here is your looks. Aren't we just doing the same thing, right? So that's what, like, an homage to what Diego said before. Do your technical first and then do the look after, right? Okay, that's one way to do that. And if you are using Magic Bullet Film, for example, let me just disable this. If you have Magic Bullet Suite, for example, you can also do it like easier. Like here, I will just create another node. So to not confuse you, let me just delete this. And you can simply use Magic Bullet Film if you have Magic Bullet Film. What you may not notice is that Magic Bullet Film, it takes any type of clip, either it's log or either it's Rec 709, and it will output your footage into sRGB or Rec 709 territory. So knowing that, you will not need the transformations before the film plugin. So what you can do here is that you can tell Magic Bullet Film what type of footage you're working. You're not working with video footage, which is Rec 709. You're working with log footage. And here you can tackle the exposure, and you're pretty much done, except you have the choice of 11 different negative stocks, and then you also have choice of 4 different film stocks. So now you can just play with this choice. And then in between those negative and print stocks, there are some controls that you can adjust. For example, if you want to warm up, adjust the tint, for example, or you can also reduce the contrast or play around with the contrast. And one important slider here that you may need to know is this vintage modern slider. If you're aware, if you know the Magic Bullet Mojo, it's similar like that. You know, if you bring it more to the modern side, it takes all the shadow area and make it cooler, and takes the highlight area and make it a little bit more warmer while increasing the contrast. So you probably want to drop down the contrast a little bit. Or you can also go to the vintage territory to make it more faded and warm, and then increase the contrast to balance that. So that is the film emulations, right? So what I want to show you next is that if we go to our grouped timeline, grouped project before, you can do the similar stuff in the timeline level and affect the whole clips, which belong to the same timeline. So for example, if here I am transforming all my clips from, this is Black Magic clips, yeah. Black Magic film into Rec 709 and Indian film lock. I can also create new node and apply the film look. Where is it? Here. By doing so, I'm affecting the whole clip in the timeline, right? Or what I can also do is drop down Magic Bullet Film here. So for example, here, this is a lock video, and maybe putting my contrast a little bit down, more something like that. Adjust the exposure a little bit. So if you see carefully, all the groups receive the same treatment, right? So now come the questions like, hey, what happened with this clip? Because this looks too bright. And how do you handle that? Because you're putting everything in your timeline. And how would you tackle this? So this is also a question, an answer to the question that I saw before from Greg, because Greg were mentioning about a different workflow, and he was asking about flagging. This is what I normally do, Greg. I mean, I will normally just flag the clips that need attentions, and then I will revisit it later, right? So here I have my development, like film development, and in the post clip, I will create my look. So for example, if I'm introducing more sign, let's drop down the red a little bit more, something like this. It will apply to all the clip in this group. Meanwhile, in this one, maybe I want to increase the red, something like that. So it will be applied into this clip. But then how do I handle this? That is by using the clip level group. And here I probably use some sort of node structure so I can ripple the change easily. But in this lesson, we'll just stay with this same node, for example. And here I will be able to tackle the contrast, for example, and maybe bring down the blacks a little bit and to balance it with the other clips and selected clips. Oh, it looks totally off, for example, like that. Maybe more contrast. Something like so. And the question will be, what are you going to do with the group pre-clip? And in the group pre-clip, I normally do like highlight recovery, for example. If I would do like a transformations to another color space, this will be done in a clip level, and then in the group pre-clip, I still work in the camera color space, for example, and there I can do my highlight recovery. But onto another look. I hope that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. Let me
Yes.
just reset this and reset this as well. By the way, the shortcut is Control Home, and you can reset everything.
Yes,
So
for example, Max, I want to say to the people that if you feel that creating the groups, you feel like, okay, this is not the way, there is an option, I forgot the option, where is it? But you can like put all your node structure that you make in the groups into the node clip, into the clip structure. So that way you don't lose the pre-clip or the post-clip. It joins everything into that clip node structure.
cool. So the other thing that I want to show you is that the look which is called the bleach bypass. And I will not go and explain bleach bypass without giving a credit to this guy, Kevin Shaw. So if you want to know more about bleach bypass, please visit finalcolor.com. In his blog, he talk about bleach bypass very, very, very detailed. So, and I learned this trick from Kevin. So thank you, Kevin. And yeah, bleach bypass is a traditional film process that you used back in the day. And the idea of bleach bypass is a superimposed black and white image, a superimpose of a colored image on top of the black and white image. So I told you about the multiple film chemical film bath before, right? When we are developing the film, and one of the chemical bath is to strip the silver halide content and replace the silver content with a color dye. So you get the colored film, right? And by skipping that bath, the bleach bath, you will have the silver content on your film. You can also, it's not limited by just skipping the bath. You can also reduce the amount of time the film spent in that bath, and then by doing so, you will still have more silver content in your film. And the retained silver will increase the contrast of your image and also increase the grain. And that is the how do you call it, the fundamental of the bleach bypass, like less saturated but heavily with very heavy contrast. So how you would do that is in Resolve. The question is like, how can you do that in Resolve? In doing so, you can simply play around what Kevin pointed out. You can also play around with saturations and contrast, right? But another nice method to have more controls is to work with a layer node. So for example, here, if I'm creating a layer node, that is by pressing Alt L, by the way. And if I disable my second layer, and in the first layer, I will turn my image into black and white. So into doing so, I can just play around with a saturations level. But wait, before doing that, what I forgot, sorry for this, is that I will create a new node to do the technical transformations. Let me just control home. And here I will just use LUT. Okay. After my technical, you can also do it manually. I will create a new node. Oh, Christ. What is wrong with me?
Friday.
So Alt S. I was thinking about Friday. So Alt S to create a node after the selected node. And here I will press Alt L. That is to create a layer node, right? So on the top layer, if I'm doing anything in the top layer, it will not be visible because we covered this already in the first sessions. We are in layer mode, layer stack. So the node in the bottom has the most important, so it will obscure everything. So I will just deactivate this one so you can see what I'm doing. I can reduce the saturation to make it black and white, but there's a nicer control to do that is by using the RGB mixer. And here there's an options to use the monochrome checkbox. And you can also use the preserve luminance checkbox, or you can also not use it. And by using the RGB mixer, I can play around with a separate color channel, for example. And here, I'll put more in the red, less in the green, and very less in the blue. And I quite like it. And now, if I turn on this one, I can adjust the saturation, for example. But before doing that, before doing this, because now the saturation remain in 50, what you can do is that you can change your composite mode. And to do so, you can right-click this node, select composite, and you can select different type of blend mode. Again, about this blend mode, I think it's better for you to go to the manual and read what each different mode is doing. But what I found out works better for me is the soft light. And as you can see, it is adding the contrast and then also reduce the saturations. And you can reduce the saturation further by using this node. So you will use the node at the bottom to do the saturations, and then the one on the top to do just the luminance and exposure. So for example, if it's here too dark, I can lift the exposure a little bit using offset, and I can open it up just slightly. And that is bleach bypass. But wait a second. Since bleach bypass is a film process, you can also pair it with a previous technique that I'm showing you, that is the film print emulations, right? And if we go back to our previous timeline, now we can also do bleach bypass here before our film print emulations. And we can do that in our post clip node, for example. And here I can press Alt L. Same like before. I will go to my RGB mixer, turn off preserve luminance, turn off this one. And there you go. Set the blend mode to soft light and turn this on. So there you go. That's a bleach bypass within film print emulations. And for example, since it's in a group post clip, if this scenes requires another look, I can do another look here while having a bleach bypass in this group. Right, that is a bleach bypass. So if I may take another 5 minutes, Diego,
Yeah,
I
definitely.
I
I'm
will
enjoying it.
show I will show them how I will show the audience how to do that in Premiere Pro as well. So
Perfect.
here we have the same clip, right? And in Premiere Pro, the method that I'm using it will be like using a lot of Magic Bullet Suite. So just type in bullet in the effects, and I will have all the Magic Bullet Suite plugins. And I will just use Colorista here in clip number 1 to balance my clip. I want a lock response, for example. Let me just do it manually this time and adjust the highlight, probably the midtones, and adjust the contrast and exposure. Something like that. Maybe open up the shadow a little bit. Where is it? Shadow. Down here. I'll open up the shadow region a little bit and put down the highlight region slightly. So I have my technical technical corrections. So to do so, to do the same technique, the bleach bypass, what I can do is that I can duplicate this layer by pressing Alt and just dragging it up. And then on the top layer, we also have the same colorista, right? And here, what I'm going to do is that I will just edit this as if this is a black and white image. So I will reduce the saturations, maybe introduce more, play around with this, introduce more red in the highlight, something like this, and make it even more contrasty. And now let me turn it back on. And now I can use the same principle like before. So I will turn on the blend mode, use the blend mode, and select soft light. And there you go. I have my bleach bypass. And what I'm going to do, if I want to tweak something in the luminosity of the image, the luminance of the image, the luma of the image, I can use the top layer to play around with the luminance, and I can tweak the color on the bottom layer. And doing so, I have like the most control for my image. And if you want to do the same like before, having a bleach bypass, but also having a film development process on top of that, you can also use Magic Bullet Film, and probably to do that in the bottom layer. And here I will change my footage is into video, and here I can just play around with the color. This temperature and tint. and adjust the slider to my liking. It's too strong for you, you can still play around with the strength. So that is the tricks to do bleach bypass and film print emulations, both in Resolve and also in Premiere Pro. So I hope that helps. And now we'll go back to Diego.
Yes, that's perfect.
I'll
That's
make you
perfect,
presenter,
Max.
Diego.
Yeah, I'm here. Okay,
Thank you.
so
Where is it? Ah, here.
there you go. Show my screen. Okay, I mean it's that's perfect about the Magic Bullet Suite because it's in some ways it's allowed you to emulate these difficult looks. That's definitely one of the hardest things. Here, for example, I when you were showing, I was like playing with the film, and I also like applying some of the concepts you were showing. And what I did here was I did different types of film simulations, and I add them using a parallel node,
Ah,
and I mix them using opacity and also using some luminance qualifiers, some luminance keyers, so that in some part of the image, for example, this emulation is affecting the sky, this emulation is not affecting the whole part, it's just affecting like the half, and here is affecting the all. So this is something like what I can say is customizing your film emulation. And I encourage you to do this because what is happening usually when with a LUT or with a plugin is that is giving you, I mean, many people are buying this. Many people are buying this, and also these LUTs are in Resolve, and all of the people that have Resolve that is free have them. But when you do this, you are creating your own film emulation, and you are experimenting with this. I mean, with the results that you're having. As Max said, Bleach Bypass was an accident from the laboratory. So maybe these
yeah.
accidents that you can make can get interesting results. So I will encourage you like to in some way like to do this, like to play with layer with parallel nodes, to mix them using gears, and probably you will find something interesting.
A happy accident.
A happy accident, yes.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay, so here I have, okay, I wanted to show you this because it's important. Also, let me show you here something really fast. This is what we call a color isolation. It's similar as the method I showed you before, like trying to rescue some part of the image. So for example, to make a color isolation, what you can do is you can start like with a technical like a look, a technical starting point of the look. And then what you can do is, for example, if you want to create 300, the movie 300 of Sin City, what you can do is you can say, okay, here I have a layer. I can do the same technique as Max said. That is one of the best things of having a black and white is to customize it based on the RGB mixer. For example, here, this one. But I want to rescue the yellow. So what I can do is right click here, then add node, and then in the add node, you can create layer. And the layer is going to actually put this one above the black and white node. But here you can say, okay, I just want the yellow. And now you can have the yellow so similar as let's think Sin City, where you have that yellow parts. And you can say, okay, here I have the yellow, but I want also the let's think the red. So now I have the yellow and the red. And you start creating this color isolation looks. Hey, it looks nice. I haven't tested with this shot. But and then you can like, okay, say probably I need less of light, something like this, and definitely you need to refine more your qualifiers. But this is what we call color isolation. Definitely movies like 300 or Sin City made this like this look so popular. And the last time I saw it was in WandaVision, I think. So did you watch WandaVision, Max?
WandaVision, of course, yeah.
Yeah, so I remember they used this look because it was in the 50s when it was black and white.
Ah, yes, the 50s episode, yeah.
Yes, and something like I think I don't know what was it.
That is such a nice series. I'm sorry if I digress again.
Yes, yes, I
Each of
like
the
it. I like it.
episode has their own looks, if you notice it. Like, and it's really great. All the 50s and then the 60s, and you feel like, oh, now I'm in the 80s. And this is not just like the color that we push in the post productions, but it's also like the credit to set design, like what Diego said. The art director is responsible for that. But you know, the overall, it looks really great. Such a nice um, series.
Yes, and you say something interesting. Yes, definitely. We have many looks in that serial. So for a homework for you guys is watch WandaVision and enjoy the looks. The image is beautiful. If you can watch it in HDR, it's going to be even more beautiful. So yeah, I was playing here and at the end I got a good result. Look. Okay. So that's color isolation is a beautiful shot. But definitely the reason I use this shot is because it has a lot of colors. I cannot make a color isolation if I don't have a clear yellow or a clear blue or a clear red. So as we say at the beginning, we need to have the ingredients. If we
Yeah.
don't have the ingredients, we cannot achieve that look. That is something that you have to think. So let's make one last look after, and I think you have another one, Max. So I will make this one fast.
Oh, no problem, man. Take it easy.
Okay. So this one is, I mean, in many cases, probably in this case, I had to grade this movie, and it was in the night. It was in the, I mean, during the day, a cloudy day, but they want to make this a night shot. And one of the problems that they found is that they didn't have so much money, like to make night, because it's actually the contrary. If you need to make night using lights, you need a double of light, because if you don't have light, what you are going to have is noise.
Yeah.
So in many productions, they
Can I say
say,
something on this look, Diego?
yeah, yeah, definitely.
The other day I was watching Venom, like the first Venom, because the second one is not released, obviously. And in the extras, I noticed that some shot is actually a day for night. There's a scene where Tom Hardy was walking in the woods, in the small forest in the woods, and he's just talking with Venom by himself, and it was like, oh wow, this is a night scene, and I thought it was night scene, but then in the extras, like they show the like the footage before the look, and it was apparently shot in a cloudy day. So yeah, it was apparently a look that was used in a lot of productions,
Yes, yes, and in that big budget production.
in the big budget production even.
So I will say that even as a colorist, you need to know how to make day for night. It's something that probably a client will ask you. There are many techniques to create this thing, this look. What I usually do after creating that look is I took references. So for example, I took this reference from, where was it? No, it's over here. Come on, it's here. It's Marco Polo. I love this serial. It was so nice, and I was like, okay, let's think in that night. Let's think in that night, and the final result 4 years ago or something like this. At the end, what I found is that I lost the skin, and it's one of the risk that you found, like doing a day for night. But I mean, that was like the reference that I took, and that was the look that I did. So I found many colorists that, for example, they can make day for night using the RGB mixer. Also, you can make day for night using like the curves. I mean, there are many tools, and you have to test. You have to test them, and probably you will find a best result or a great result doing that. So let's think, for example, now here, I will actually do this one using the color wheels. So first I will make like, let's think like a this technical node that I show you that I like it. Probably I will, in this case, balance the image using temp and tint, just another tool. Let's take a little bit more of his face. Yes, something like that. Okay. And now I'm going to make the look. And for example, I can take here the reference. This is the selected clips. This is the reference. And what I can notice first is that if I come here to my waveform, it's not colorized. This shot doesn't have light. I mean, it's just like 128. And this is one of the like the hardest things when you are making day for night. I don't know if you remember, Max, if you watch it, Game of Thrones,
Mm-hmm.
the episode that no one watched,
Don't say it's
because
the
it,
last episode.
yes, because it was the best dragon battles, but no one knows how was the battle. So in this case, one of the risks that you have doing like a day for night is that okay, it's like you are going to lose a lot of detail. So for example, in this case, what I did was, I mean, now I'm reducing a lot of my, let's think of my light. I'm doing something like this. I will hide here. Okay. Then after that, what I can do is I can come here to the vector scope. If I select option and scroll, I can increase a little bit the, let's think the size of the signal. And what I can do here is I can move really strong my gain to see where I'm going. So I can say, okay, the tint of this look is here. Okay, so now I have something similar, but I lost all of the face of him. Yes, I love all of the face of him. And also, if you notice, he has some light here. He
Mm-hmm.
has light. So in this case, this shot is difficult because we have a dark skin. We have a dark skin, and we see that, okay, when we reduce the light of the dark skin, definitely we're going to lose it. It's like my skin in some way. It's hard. So what we can do is we can make some windows in some way to recover that light. So based on that, what I can do is I can create a layer. Just make a layer node. And here with the layer node, I can come here. And here I can like recover a little bit of the light of him, something like that. And maybe what I will do is I will make a like a here, something like this, so I don't lose completely the light. Maybe a little bit more, something like this. I will refine a little bit here. As you notice now, I have the like a better. I see the face, but I will also like move the opacity, right? So that face is integrated with the color of this part, probably a little bit more. Yeah, I can move here. Maybe I can simulate that there was a light here, something like this. Okay, you can start playing with it, and you can like, well, more, even more. Okay, something like this, just a little bit more of softness. And then you can say, okay, is that I can even get a little bit more darker here in the midst. But one of the things that I like here, I will make another layer. I will make actually a new node, and I will make another layer. And I want to recover all of this like light that the sky was having. We need to think that in the night, and especially in these parts of the planet in the sea, the moon, we see a lot of light because of the moon. So what I can do is this is going to be not a parallel, it's going to be a layer. And here with the layer, I can recover from the start. And let's think that this is the moon. This is the face. This is the look. And here I can make a luma keyer. And that luma keyer is just going to take the sky a little bit less, something like this. Definitely, I will need to refine so much more here. But what you can do here is like, okay, I make a simple, I still see this part, but okay, with time I will refine it more. So what I did was I dark the shot using the look. Then I recover a little bit of the skin using a mask and using a luma keyer. And then because I was losing a lot of that light from the scene, and I was thinking in the scenario that you have like a moon, I recovered it with a luma keyer, and from that source I took it. And also what I can do here, if I want to see like, in the night, just when you see this like the sky, you see a lot of edges, a lot of lines. So what you can do here is you can increase the midtone, or not the midtone, you can even increase here the sharpen, and you can have maybe a little bit more of edges if you feel. So this is one technique to make. I like to make day by night recovering parts of lights, because one of the risks is to lose the person. That's one of the main problems. You can also like make this look based on curves, and sometimes it's giving a better results. Or also here the RGB mix. So that's it.
That's really great, Diego. Thank you for sharing. And
That's perfect.
yeah, one that I haven't shown the guys is that I totally forgot to mention that all the tricks that we showed today can also be reproduced inside Magic Bullet Looks, and you can actually use it inside Resolve or inside in how do you call it, Premiere Pro. Can you see my screen, by the way, Diego?
Yes.
Yeah. So let us reset this. Control Home. And now, what I want to show you before is that, we can use Magic Bullet Looks, for example. And if we hit Looks, edit look, I mean. Now, we can do the technical transformations. This is from Alexa, and I want it to output it to sRGB or Rec 709. And yeah, the day for night, for example, it was in the preset. Where is it? Time and places. There you go. Here you have this presets called day for night, and you can play around with this tools. But this is indoor, so I don't think this is proper. So what I want to show you again is that the bleach bypass, you can totally you can totally mimic that here inside Magic Bullet Looks. So for example, we already have our technical transform, and we can use our film print to do the print film emulations. And here I use codec 2383, and I can use another tool called the print bleach bypass before the film print. Now I can increase the silver retentions, and by increasing that, I need more exposure compensations. And I can go to my film print and adjust the exposure there as well. And by doing so, I got the bleach bypass and film print emulation quite easy. And what you need to know is that Magic Bullet Film and Magic Bullet Magic Bullet Film takes any types of your clip and convert it to Rec 709. So if you are using color manage framework, some sort of color management, either ACES, so like ACES for example, using Magic Bullet Film will transform your footage into Rec 709. And if you're working within that framework, it will create some mess, right? But the solution to that is to use Magic Bullet Looks and then use Magic Bullet Film inside of that. Now, onto another look. What I want to show here is the look that operates within the complementary color theory that Diego explained before. That is like the famous, warming up your shadow and then cooling down your shadow and warming up your midtone and highlights. And again, let's do the technical transformations first. And then to do so, I will use my LUT. Go to array like and I will put it right after that. And now I will work before the LUT. And here you can easily do this by simply using the lift gamma gain. That's the easiest way to do that, right? So you can like push cool color into the shadow and push your, sorry, this is supposed to be
And I will say, Max,
lift gamma gain. Yes.
you already have the teal and orange in that shot.
In that shot. That's why will just
increase.
Exaggerate it.
Yes, exaggerate,
So
but you already have the teal and orange in that shot.
if you see the light here is like already very blue. That's why I'm cheating, Diego. and and the lights coming from the practical light here, it's very warm, so it's teal and orange by default.
Yes.
And let's exaggerate that by putting more teal in the lift. Well, not that much. And then putting more orange in the highlight, right? So now the question is probably, hey, I want to, trim my look a little bit and makes my black more like neutrals and my highlights more neutral. You can do so and creating a node before that. And here you can just use lock wheel and then push different color in the shadow and then push different color in the highlight. Before we have orange, and then now we push it to the teal. And then we can just reduce the range a little bit more. And if we, okay. So if we combine them into a compound node, and then you see this is before and that is after, right? That's the easiest way to do the split complementary. And another way that you can do that if you have Magic Bullet Suite is to use Magic Bullet Mojo, because I mentioned Mojo previously, but I haven't shown you. So what Mojo is doing is that it's the same like Magic Bullet Film. It takes any type of your clip and it will output it into Rec 709 territory. So you will not need any technical transform like LUT. So what you can do is that you can inform Mojo that you are working with a log footage, and then you can adjust the exposure, for example. And as you can see by default, the before Mojo.
Yes, and I will say that Mojo is that incredible tools.
It's very easy, very quick, and
yes.
And what the main component of Mojo is this Mojo slider, right? So by using more Mojo, if you slide it to the right, the shadow area will be more into cyan, and then the highlight area is more into orange. And you can affect all the blue area by using the blue squeeze. So for example, if you slide the blue squeeze, all the adjustment will bleed in into like the more like blue area in your clip. So for example, if you do the Mojo tint, as you can see, the jeans is now included. But if I reduce my blue squeeze, maybe 0.
Yes.
it is not as how do you call it, unified as before. And then, if you drag mojo to the right, it's more like that. And then if you drag to the left, it's slightly, just a little tiny tint into your shadow and highlight. And if you drag the tint button to the left, you also have like this slightly magenta-ish tint. So that is teal and orange in a nutshell. So I hope that helps.
That's
And
perfect.
let us wrap up this session. And let me go to my, okay. So again, I would like to wrap up the sessions by telling you, visit Kevin's blog. It's called Final Color, and you will have a lot more readings about all the different type of look. And then also, if you want to learn more about film characteristic, go to Steve Yedlin website. It's called yedlin.net. All right, this is our final sessions. So I really want to thank you all for sticking with us since the very first week. I am really glad that you enjoy the sessions. We have a very nice comment, and we really appreciate that. And maybe we're looking forward to repeat something in the future. If you have any questions, idea, or comment, please send them to us. You can write us in training@maxon.net. We would love to hear from you. And if you have any questions, workflow related, also let us know in training@maxon.net. So to watch the recorded versions of this series, you can go to our YouTube channel. It's called Maxon Training Team. And then under the Hands-on with Maxon playlist, you can find the recording there. Also, don't forget that you can get a free t-shirt. Go to the handout sections and download the PDF link, and then follow the link to the Maxon merch store and use the code, and then you can get one of this t-shirt. And if you want to refresh your memory in Magic Bullet Looks or Cinema 4D, if you're using Cinema, you can also go to maxon.net/certifications and try your knowledge. And then also check what the upcoming event, what Maxon is doing, if you want to know more. And you can go to maxon.net/events. And on that note, it's been our pleasure to host you guys here. And I would like to say thank you to you all. Thank you, Diego.
Thank
Thank
you,
you for your
Max.
time, and thank you for
I enjoy
sharing
a
your
lot.
knowledge.
And thanks
I
everyone.
really,
I really
I
enjoy it.
really enjoy the sessions a lot as well. And I hope that we can see you next time in another color grading sessions. So thank you very much, guys. Take care and stay safe, stay healthy. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye. Ciao.